Calorie V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Calorie V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Pro Physique Code. And today we're going to talk to Brooke, who ended up taking second in our most recent transformation challenge. Congratulations, Brooke.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's, whenever we're deciding these, winners, it's mostly the pictures, right? And your pictures are remarkable. Your before picture and your after picture. And I believe you lost around 40 pounds.
42 pounds.
So I want to dig in and I want to talk about what got you to the point where you wanted to do the challenge and the things that you did throughout the challenge to keep weight loss going, because that is a remarkable result for anybody. And I really want to help people understand like what they can do or what's going on with them.
Mhm.
But you had to have a whole new wardrobe, right? Like,
Yes, for sure. I mean, during the challenge, I went from a size 16 jean to a size 4. So as you
wow.
can tell, that is definitely a big size difference. I mean, I still have those jeans that I had in the beginning of the challenge, and I'd put them on at the end and shared a picture in the Facebook group, and it was just like I couldn't even hold them on with the belt. Like I had to hold them up with both my hands.
That's
It was
wild.
pretty crazy, but
Well,
most
congrats. So
definitely.
let's talk a little bit about your lifestyle going into the challenge. Like what was going on? Do you think that got you to the position where you were, unhappy?
So for me, it actually started after my second pregnancy with our son. I was placed on bed rest for the majority of my pregnancy due to preeclampsia. So before I was actually pretty active. It took me a little bit longer with our first son to lose weight. So it took me about 3 years with him of losing a little bit of weight to get where I was at. So I was
Okay.
at a good place whenever I got pregnant the second time. But then after being put on bed rest, we had just been through a really rough past 5 years of
Yeah.
just one thing after another. And then just having that second difficult pregnancy was just very hard on me. And to not be able to, do things with my family or, be a mom to our son and, play with him and do the things that he wants to do. It was just very hard, whenever you're already going through so many different things, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
was eating awfully, because I was eating my feelings pretty much. So
Well,
for
that's
all
easy
of
to do in
that.
Texas, right?
Oh yes, yes. It's very, very big here. It's part of, relationships, hanging out with people, you go to your barbecues, you smoke your food, just potlucks and things like that. So it definitely adds up over time. But
What about like alcohol or drinking? Was that ever, is that social drinking and stuff?
Um, I've honestly never been a huge drinker.
Okay.
I'm not against it. It's just for me, it's funny, just the calorie aspect of it, I guess, as well as like the feeling after you drink it. You don't feel that great afterwards.
It's interesting. I
Honestly,
mean, and you've been pregnant a lot, so obviously you have
yeah,
to cut out.
no, honestly, I got pregnant for the first time while I was 21. So I'm pretty young. I'm only 25, but
Yeah.
I've been pregnant twice, and I'm 25 now. So of those years that I've been allowed to drink, I guess I've been pregnant. So yeah, I haven't really had that much exposure to it, but I don't feel like it's necessary.
Yeah, understood. And I think for me, I want to get a picture of how did you kind of come to the conclusion that you were going to start with us? Was this your first time doing a challenge like this?
Yes, it was. So I had been cleared to work out by my doctor right before the challenge started. And I went back to work from maternity leave the day the challenge started as well. And at my work, we have a gym at the office. So I don't even have to go to a gym outside of work. I can work out while I'm here, which was part of my success. So I had a plan to start working out again and, getting back in shape once I returned to work because that meant I had that gym to be able to start. So I had that vision, like I had a plan already that I was going to lose that weight, but finding the podcast, I listened to that before the challenge started, the Pro Physique Code podcast. I've always liked listening to fitness podcasts just because I like the information aspect of it.
Sure.
I like the knowledge and just it's entertaining to me, just learning all the aspects of fitness. So right before the challenge started, I listened to you and Christina's episode about the challenge, and that's how I found it originally.
Yeah,
So just
that's great.
hearing that it started the day that I came back from maternity leave and just that I would have the gym and that it lined up perfectly with my plan already, I was like, well, it'd be silly not to do it because,
Yeah.
I want to get back in
So,
shape. So might as well, join this. We'll see how it goes.
so the challenge, we offer a couple different options. Did you just choose to go it alone? Did you use the training and nutrition plans that we offer?
For me at this time, financially, the coaching option unfortunately wasn't in the books
Understood.
for me. But if I had, that opportunity, I definitely would have loved to do the coaching. Coach Fatima, I'm going to shout her out really quick. She wasn't even my coach, but during the challenge, she was just so encouraging and motivating. And she would send a message to me, checking in after I had posted in the group, just seeing how I was doing. So, even
That's
though
awesome.
she wasn't my personal coach, there was just so many people and coaches that are from Pro Physique in the group that are just like, willing to help you and just encourage you. So,
Yeah, and I think that's the community aspect of that group. So you took advantage of the Facebook group very well then.
yes, yes, yeah, I loved the Facebook group. I think that was definitely a huge part of my success personally. It was just that encouragement and like minded people.
Let's talk a little bit about when you started, how you set up your calories and your activity level. Do you have an idea where your calories would have been when you started?
Oof. So because I was on the bed rest, I just had a baby in December. I
Okay.
was eating lots of fast food. Like I couldn't cook anything at home because I was on bed rest. And my husband, he worked in the oil field at the time. So he wasn't home until late most days if he was home at all. So
I
lots of
was going to say,
fast food.
is that like shift work or is he gone for like 2 weeks at a time? Some of those jobs,
Yeah, he worked locally, thankfully, but he did have to travel quite often, so he'd be out of town, a couple days at a time. So
okay.
thankfully, my mom and my mother-in-law helped with our other son, since we had him and I wasn't supposed to be on my feet. But
Okay. So that was prior to the challenge. Now, when it started, what did you switch? Were you able to start prepping your meals and kind of start tracking? Did you use an
yeah,
app or did you use some method of like keeping up with your calories?
yeah. So whenever I started, I switched over from the fast food to my husband. He loves smoking food, which is a plus for me because during the weekends he would get a big, a pork butt or, you know, pork chops or chicken or ribs or just any kind of meat, and we would just cook a bulk amount of it. We would go to Sam's Club and buy that and just cook it all at once. So then we would have, our proteins for lunch and dinner ready to go. So didn't have to worry about the cooking and whatnot.
All right. And then another big one that I find is always like activity, being active. Did you find ways to like be active even with your family?
Yes. So we love going for walks. So during the afternoon, after I would get off of work, we would just walk around the neighborhood with the stroller with both the kids and my husband. So it was definitely a group effort as far as the walking in the afternoon. And then just during the challenge, being so much more active in the backyard, my son would just be running back and forth, wanting me to chase after him. And before, I may not have wanted to do that because I was very sedentary. Like I like to sit on the couch and, watch movies and
Yeah.
just kind of scroll, like that's just so normal nowadays. But
Yeah.
now it's like I'm hardly ever, watching TV, or I'm hardly ever just sitting on the couch. Like that's not enjoyable to me anymore. I love just running around with my kids and, just being active.
Do you plan like an amount of steps in the day that you track, or do you like plan like some cardio routine, or is it just kind of a free for all?
Oh no, definitely not a free for all. To get the amount of steps that I did in a day, it is planned out.
Nice.
During the challenge, I would average around 15,000 to 25,000 steps, which is a
Wow.
pretty good amount.
Yeah, I
For,
think,
for me, obviously, with two kids, you have to have some type of plan going into that, especially since at the time, whenever the challenge started, my youngest was only 2 months old.
yeah.
So,
So that's full on. And then your oldest is
yeah.
what, like 2 or 3 now?
He's 3. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have a 2-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Well,
So
three can actually be the trouble. That's when they,
yes, yeah, I've definitely learned that. You think it's the newborns whenever you have your first, and then
yeah,
you have the second, and the newborn is like the best because they're just little potatoes. They
they're
just
just
lay there.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely had to plan the steps. I would, during my break, since we have the gym at work, I would walk on the treadmill, the incline treadmill, or we also have an elliptical in there as well. So for those 2 15-minute breaks during the day, I would either do the elliptical or the treadmill.
So your office has gym equipment?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Well,
Very,
that's
very
really nice.
lucky. Yes.
Well, because
Honestly,
Texas, I think Texas it is historically known as the state with the worst obesity rates. So,
yes. No, I mean, I think you've said it a couple times on your podcast episodes. You can't walk here. Everything is
right.
so separated. There's everything you have to drive. It's
I
very,
tried to walk in Dallas from my hotel to like get dinner once, and there was no sidewalks. It was freaking 110 degrees
yeah,
outside. So yeah, it's a challenge there.
yeah, it's not the culture for sure. And that's a big part of also why I wanted to do this transformation, is because when you do look around here, just the general population, it's not healthy. Like it's not the example that I want to lead for my kids. And like in my family, we do have heart disease and just not the best health. So to give me that chance to live healthy life, and my sons, having that as an example is very important whenever that's not normal around here.
Yeah. So obviously losing that much weight, it's going to have an impact on those around you. Has your husband taken part in any of this stuff, or has he changed his routine at all? Or is he
He
just so busy at work it doesn't matter?
Yeah, he's so busy. I mean, he eats what I eat for the most part, except for he loves his mac and cheese and his suddenly salad. So, he'll eat a big old side of that, but he also would eat the food that he smoked. But he works as a lightning protection installation company, so he's pretty active and gets lots of steps. But he he was very supportive though. If I ever had to walk on the treadmill in the afternoon because I didn't get to my steps, he would understand and support me during that. So that was nice as well.
Perfect. I think, all this is just pointing to you just made a decision to change your lifestyle, and it's put your body in a position where it's responding, um, and it's going to extend your quality of life and improve it greatly. How has the since the challenge has ended, how has it been? Because, that's also a concern of mine. I don't want people just doing something drastic for 90 days and then struggling after.
Yes. So afterwards, I do have, I would say, probably about 10 more pounds that I would like to lose because I have been maintaining. I've brought the calories up slowly. I'm not quite back to as high as I would like to be. Right now, I'm at 1800, which
Okay.
that's good considering what I was at towards the end. We haven't talked about this yet, but
Yeah.
at the end, my calories did get pretty low to 1400 the last
Okay.
3 weeks, but I had so much weight to lose and I felt good. I wasn't overly fatigued. I had the knowledge of listening to, numerous podcasts and just articles of reverse and how important it is to understand that process and to slowly introduce, more foods, not necessarily going off the rails, but maybe adding some more rice or more chicken or
Right.
more vegetables. So, yes, it may have been low towards the end, but if you have that knowledge going into it and you're not just gonna, oh, the challenge is over, I'm gonna go back to doing what I was doing before and, eating all the foods and, not tracking, like, it is important to have that knowledge because whenever you do go in a deficit and you introduce those foods again, your body is gonna wanna eat everything at once,
Right.
it's gonna wanna fight you back a little bit. So you're knowing, to be knowledgeable about that
Yep.
maintenance and
Well, and that's
repair.
why in the group we try to do like live videos every week and kind of explain some things, especially towards the end, addressing those topics. So the lowest your calories got were 1400 and the highest your steps got were 25,000.
Mhm.
Okay. What was, do you remember what your starting calories were?
In the beginning, so I tried to use the Pro Physique macro calculator that was on the website, but I have user error because after listening to a podcast episode, it said that you don't want to go 10 times under your body weight. And
Right.
whenever I did it on the website, it got me the number 1650 for starting calories. So that was my
Okay.
fault. So that's definitely
Ah,
not, what it was supposed to be. But like I said before, I was eating fast food and I was not eating
right.
protein and like whole foods. So although that may have been lower than what you would normally start someone out on a deficit, it didn't feel like it because when you're not used to eating protein like that, like, I
Sure.
had I had a hard time eating so much
Yeah. It's
because
funny when people say
yeah.
like you actually feel like you're eating more, even though the calories are less. So there's actually a study of a dietary study called volumetrics where they look at, eating higher quantities of food, higher volume of food, but less calorie foods.
Mhm.
Obviously, vegetables and things like that are very dense in fibers and very low in calories. So protein is another great one to fill out. And if you're trying to hit your protein goal and you're at a fast food place, it can be very challenging because you're going to get a ton of fat, you're going to get a ton of
Mhm.
carbs. So it's awesome that you saw that. Did you end up doing a lot of your own meal prepping then?
Yes, I did. I mean, I didn't completely cut out, like, if my husband, he wanted to go, have a date night,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, "Oh, no, we can't do that, like, I'm doing this challenge." I would look up the menu beforehand and, I would look at the different,
That's
calories or
awesome.
see what kind of protein options they had, like, I would get a steak or at Chili's, they have, like, a really good, m Spanish chicken, rice, and,
Yeah.
just all those different things. So you can eat healthy out as well. You don't have to get, the crazy fried foods or just the most unhealthy options. You can still be smart and eat out. But
Absolutely.
I did, for the most part, I'd like to eat at home with my husband and my family. I'd much prefer to do that than.
Yeah, I don't believe in dieting in isolation, and I don't believe, I've got kids and, I travel a lot for work, and so for me it's I have to find ways to incorporate it, and that's really what I believe in. Are there times where you can be a little bit more demanding if you have like, I'm sure the last couple weeks you're like, "Hey, I don't really want to go out because I want to finish this challenge off." But for the most part, fitting things into your daily routine is going to lead you to much more success than trying to
Mhm,
diet in isolation, and then when you come out of that isolation, you just go back to eating like you were. So
mhm.
awesome. Well, congratulations. Is there anything you'd like to share or any lessons that you learned through this that you thought were, worthy of, helping others?
I think just the main point is so many people when they try to lose weight or they do these transformations is everything is so black and white. It's either full go or full stop. Whenever
Yep.
you make a mistake or, you miss a workout or you eat something that you shouldn't eat, people just put a halt altogether. They say, well, I didn't do things perfectly, or, this didn't go to plan. Well, that's okay. Things aren't always going to go your way. There's so many times where, maybe something in life happens and you you can't work out that day. Like, are you gonna completely stop just because you miss one day, or are you gonna continue tomorrow and then just keep going because, time continues. So are you gonna make progress or are you gonna stay where you're at?
Yep, completely understood. Well, congratulations, and best of luck going forward. And
Well, thank you.
I love to have the people that have won our previous challenges involved in the new ones. If you'd like to be in the Facebook group, just let us know. We'll add you in there. You can use it as motivation. You can help other people, or you can just scroll in there to see how everything's going. But if you'd like to, we'd love to have you a part of it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Christina already hooked me up. So I'm in there now. So,
She's the
feel free
best.
to say hi, or if you have any questions. I'm not a
Perfect.
coach by any means, but, if it's anything that I've experienced with, I'd be happy to give you my insight. So,
Listen, that's how every coach starts is, you do things yourself, you pay attention, you ask questions, you try to learn more. And there's a lot that can be learned from experience. And obviously now you've got a bunch of experience in both directions. So, well, for just congratulations. I love it. I can't wait for this to be out and to share with everybody. If you ever need anything, just let us know.
all right. Thank you so much, Paul. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you, Brooke.
Bye bye.